Coming to you via podcast somewhere deep in the depths of Southern Ontario. A Radio. Always the truth and never politically correct.
You're listening to A Radio.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. We are on Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. You can find us on most social media platforms such as iTunes, Spotify and iHeartRadio. Go to our website, aradio.wordpress.com, for details, where you'll find more content and details on our podcasts and more. This piece is from Glenn Beck Show, August 31. It's entitled China Rising Dragon, Biden. Now, I've decided, because for me it's too long for one section, to break it up into several podcasts. This is a very important piece or pieces. What I'm going to play for you in a moment is just a taster of this whole piece. Many people don't like my long cuts, but sometimes they are appropriate. This one is just too long to play in one piece, as I said, but I guess that's a personal choice. These pieces are important to understand what Biden is really about. There is, in my mind, a common thread with liberals, as we call them in Canada, and Democrats, as you call them in America. And it is that they will attack you all day and feel good about it. But they can do no wrong. Whatever they do is legal. Whatever you do must be questioned. The latest thing comes to mind is yet another mass wiping of cell phones, which most likely would be government issued in the United States. You and I would call that obstruction of justice. They would describe it as normal practice. And as I said, what they do is fine. But if you dare entertain it, then watch out. Then there's this little piece coming up.
The Biden's Chinese Secrets. And Peter Schweizer is with us right now. How are you?
Great to be here, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. Peter, I tell you, you must feel very, very alone.
Yeah. It's it's interesting, and I mean we've talked about this before. I mean, you sometimes in the past and in the present will talk about something, and it's sort of ahead of its time.
Yeah.
We first started talking about the Bidens and China back in 2018 when I wrote a book called Secret Empires.
Mm-hmm.
Came here to Dallas and talked with you. It got a lot of attention. We hit number one on the New York Times list, but it basically was ignored by the major media. It was ignored in Washington, D.C. And part of the problem is there are other people in Washington, D.C. that have deals with the Chinese as well. But we're now at a point where Joe Biden is the Democratic nominee. He wants to be president of the United States. And the single biggest financial tie that his family enjoys is with the foreign government of China. Not a foreign company, not an American company in China, the foreign government of China. And it seems to me that in an America where if a congressman owns $10,000 of GE stock, they have to disclose it.
Yes.
We should be interested in that, especially when you're talking about the size and the scope of the deals that the Bidens enjoy. So to me, it's a central part of the conversation we need to be having right now.
And it's amazing to me that Joe Biden could say, "Come on, man, they're not a competitor. They're not a worry to us." And what we're talking about here in America is a movement run by Marxists, and it's in the street crying out for a new system and a Marxist system. We know now that countries who have opposed us have infiltrated and have, China in particular, poured money into our universities.
Right.
Poured money into our universities. And have come out and now said, we're not a threat. They're pouring money into there. They're pouring money into politics. And that's a Marxist quasi, capitalist state. It's a hybrid of private and public corporations.
Right.
And nobody is tying this together. Nobody is saying, wait a minute, is Joe Biden part of this Trojan horse?
It's a great question. Here's what we know, Glenn. We know that Joe Biden is essentially on an island by himself in most people in Washington, D.C. that talk about China. And I put Barack Obama in a different category. Barack Obama has said China is a threat to the United States. We need to see China as a rising power that's going to challenge our interests. Those are not things that Joe Biden says. That's what's so remarkable about this. In the film, when you see the beginning of the film, you have sort of a collage of people left, right, and center.
I tell you, it is so powerful. You're hearing 4 minutes of everybody, literally everybody on all sides of the political aisle saying China is a threat. China is a real threat. It's the threat to our economy. It's a threat to our nation. It's a real threat. And then, come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, as I say very often, there you have it. It's just a taster. But it goes to the case, in my opinion, that liberals don't have to follow the normal rules that you and I do. Just imagine if it was flipped and you changed the name from Biden to, let's say Trump. What do you think the mainstream media would be saying about candidate Trump right now? Now, I know you know the answer. So you have the answer to the double standards that goes on. Democrats and liberals have different rules. And that's my point. And that's my comment. Until next time. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, Parler, Spotify, and email. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/A-Radio. That's EHRADIO, a radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 11:45 Eastern, for our morning moment or tweak. And tell your friends, pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the Canadian mainstream media want you to know. This time, more than any in history, we all need to trust but verify.